So let's get started with the installation of Laravel. I'll go to my terminal. I don't have Laravel globally installed. So what I typically do is install Laravel using composer command. So composer create project, okay, and the name of the project. And while this is getting installed, let's just create our database as well. So my MySQL user is root, password is empty, and now I'll create a database. And we can then quit. So I don't need this terminal. And as you can see, with Composer 2, the installation of Laravel is very fast. It is done. Let me open up the folder in my Visual Studio Code and quickly go over some of the boilerplates which we will need. First things first, inside my env, I'll need to tell that the database name is Bookmark, which I just created. And the password and username for MySQL is correct. So we don't need to do anything about that. One more thing which I would like to do is put this code on GitHub. I will make commits for each advancement so that you can refer to those code bases and you can understand what is happening. So let me go to my GitHub profile, and in here, I'll create a new repository. Owner will be the dev zone. I have a few. Focalworks is the office. Dev zone is where I keep all my repositories for the ones which are related to tutorials from my YouTube channel. Okay, so this is done. It says I need to initialize my Git repository on that particular folder and execute certain commands. So why don't we do that? In here, I'll do git init. It basically creates a folder inside that. Okay, so bookmarks/.git. This is where all the information will be stored. Now, Laravel by default comes with a beautiful git ignore, so I can simply do git add, git commit with a message init, and that's it. After that, I need to add this origin. It basically tells Git that when I'm executing any push or pull, so the end URL where the Git repository is hosted is this URL. Okay, this is done. And then a simple command git push -u origin. Now, if you see, GitHub right now says main. This is after the change where they said that nothing will be master, or there is no concept of master and slave. So they have made it main. However, when you initialize Git, the problem is it still creates a master branch and not a main branch. Okay, so we have to stick to that. So git push origin master. So what I am telling is, hey Git, push to the origin my master branch. Okay, so everything is committed and pushed. If I now refresh, you will see that the Git repository has the code base which we have right now. Okay, and it has the commit which says init. Once this is done, let's install Laravel UI. I don't want to either use Breeze or Jetstream because I have a different stack in my mind. Rather, I'm going to use React with TypeScript inside Inertia Js, and that is right now not something which Jetstream supports. So what I am going to do is instead use Bootstrap. Anyways, I'm not very comfortable with Tailwind as of now. I'm still learning it. So to keep things simple, we will go to Laravel UI. Okay, this is not something which I wanted. So we will go to Laravel UI. Okay, so I'm on that repository and I'll follow the installation process. Just so that you know, Taylor Otwell has confirmed that Laravel UI is not getting deprecated. Okay, there is a port 3x which is for Laravel 8 and it will continue to be there. The only major difference is, it will not get any new features, because what Taylor Otwell said is that he feels that whenever he is doing something, he wants a particular stack which he's comfortable with and which is completely fine. Like I am working with React and TypeScript. So I'll have to use my own stack. And that's why Jetstream is there. If you don't want it, you can use something else. And in our case, what we will do is, once we have Laravel UI, I'll just execute PHP Artisan UI React with auth scaffolding. What this basically will do is, if I now execute my application, or if I start the server and go to localhost 8000, it gives me the login and register screens. However, they will not render properly because I haven't created the dev build, which has the JavaScript and CSS properly set up. And that is something which we'll have to do next. So it says npm install and npm run dev. Why don't we do that? So npm install is done and the npm run dev command was executed successfully. So now if I go to the login page after refresh, oh, sorry, I have to serve it again, obviously. So srv, this is, sorry, if you're not aware, PHP artisan serve is equivalent for me. It's a shortcut which I have created, which is srv. So it starts the application on port 8000. I refresh and my login works. Now, before we start implementing React, why don't we make a small little change? I'll go to database, seeders, database seeder, and here the factory for a user create is commented, which is fine. The only thing which I'll do is I'll create a new user. Okay, these are the details. And with that, if I now come over here, PHP artisan migrate with a flag seed, there's some problem. Okay, user is not found. I think I need to import. Oh, there are two app and that's why the namespace was wrong. Let me run it again. Nothing to migrate. Database seed completed. Okay, which will mean if I now add my credentials, I'm on the dashboard. So let's commit whatever we have done so far. However, just for you to remember, right now, if we go to our public folder and either use the CSS or the JavaScript file, right? Use that. And if we see this file is not minified, okay, even the CSS file. And this is not how you would ideally want the file to be committed on Git. So before you commit on Git, run npm run production. If you go to package.json, what basically production does is it builds the JS file using Laravel mix with all production related configurations. So it will in the end create a minified file. So let's just wait. And as you can see, the app.css is 142 KB, app.js is 382 KB. And if we go again to the public folder, this file is now minified. So yes, this is how we would ideally want our code to go into Git. So git add everything, git commit, adding Laravel UI, and git push. So the next thing that we are going to do is install our front-end scaffolding. We'll start with Inertia Js server side and the front end, and also install React and TypeScript. So we are on the Inertia Js website. There are two types of installation which you have to do. First, let's complete the server side. It's quite simple. Just do composer require of the latest package of Inertia, and we will need to create a root template which Inertia JS will use for the entire application. The important thing here is to look at this blade directive @inertia. This is doing all the magic. It basically adds the React components, whatever page components we will build, and it will also send all the props and everything from PHP to the React components which are required for the component to work properly. So inside resources, views, let's create app.blade.php and save this. And let's see what else do we need to do. So this is done. We need to have a middleware. So why don't we do this? Let's quickly look at the middleware, what was created. So this is the request, handle inertia request middleware. Okay, I guess everything is fine. It does quite a few things. If we want to change the root template, we can define it here. Versioning is there. Okay, and if we want to share anything as global props, which is available for each page, for example, certain variables from the session, or maybe paginated data or things like that, we will use this middleware to send the data appropriately. What else? We need to add the middleware over here. So let's open up kernel from the HTTP folder, not the console. So inside kernel, it is mentioned that we need to add this inside the web middleware group. So this is my web middleware group, and this is the entry which I need to add in. And I guess now we are pretty much done with the backend setup. Okay. Now let's look at what are the things which are required for the front end setup. So now for our front end setup, although there is documentation available on the Inertia Js website for React, the only problem is it doesn't have TypeScript implementation, which is a little different from normal React. So we will follow around the basic stuff and then modify a few things as and when required. So let's first of all install Inertia. Okay, so I am installing Inertia Js / Inertia and then the Inertia Js React adapter. Apart from that, we will also need React DOM, and the types for React. In TypeScript, the type definitions are very important. So this is going to install and save the information in package.json. And after that, I need certain dev dependencies. So npm install save dev, ts loader, and obviously TypeScript. Okay, with this done, now we need to create our TypeScript ts.json config file, which is very important. So tsc, or I don't have globally installed tsc, so I'll refer from the bin folder. So tsc init jsx react, and it will create a TypeScript config file, which is tsconfig.json. And then let's go to our app.js. Inside resources, app.js, right? We will make certain small changes because we need to bootstrap our React application. From here, I will paste this code, which is available in the documentation as well. What I am basically doing is telling React, or the Inertia app which is being created, it will try to resolve any component which is there inside the pages folder. Okay, so with that done, I obviously need a pages folder. Okay, it's a file, my mistake. Let's just create pages dash, or rather homepage, home/index.tsx. We'll quickly scaffold the React page. It will be a functional component. So a basic p tag which says welcome to homepage. And with that, I think two quick changes I need to make to keep our code consistent and well formatted is have ts/tsx indentation equals 2. This will ensure that my JavaScript files which I'm writing have only 2 spaces, and I'll also add a prettier.json because I already have the Prettier plugin installed. So .prettierrc file I'll create, and I'll have semicolons as false, tab width 2, and that's about it. Now with this, if we try to load our pages, we will fail because we have to do one more thing before we can properly load tsx files as page responses, which is, let me go to our webpack mix, and in here we are saying it's a React thingy, but it's actually TypeScript. So we need to change that to ts. I'll just remove all these definitions. Okay, this is done. And for TypeScript JSX to be handled properly, we need a Babel RC or a Babel definition. So we'll need to create a Babel RC file. Okay, and in that, let's have preset as @Babel/preset React. And with this done, I need to install certain dependencies. npm install save dev @Babel preset React, because we defined that dependency inside the Babel RC. All right, those things are installed. And now, why don't we just do one thing? Go into our web.php, which is our routes file. And here you can see we are using home controller. Use the simplified namespace thing. So, I'll do use. And let's look at the home controller. Go to definition. Inside home controller, we are returning a view. Instead, why don't we do return inertia render? Okay, so while returning any inertia response, we can assume that it will start from the pages folder, because we already mentioned that in our app.js, right? As you can see, it will directly look from the pages folder, and our home is inside the pages folder and then index, right? So it will be home/index. Let us run npm run watch on our code base. So npm run watch, it will build the dev version of our JavaScript and CSS, and it will keep a track while files are changing. It will build them again. So the build is ready. Let's go over here and hit refresh. Okay, inertia not found, which is a very common mistake that I make. I need to import the class. So I did import that, use inertia. I have a plugin which, if I hit Control I, it will import the classes. I think the plugin's name is, I don't know, it's PHP IntelliSense, I think. Yeah, this is the one. I strongly suggest you use this as well, along with all the plugins which you typically use in Visual Studio Code. So anyways, we imported the missing class definition, and now it says welcome to homepage. And this welcome to homepage was actually added inside our React component. So our basic front end scaffolding is done, and we are ready to start writing our piece of code. So now that our front end is set up, why don't we look at how we are going to work with the models and database. So as I told you, we will be creating bookmarks. So obviously the first model which we will have to work with is a bookmark model itself. So let me open up my terminal, and over here we'll make PHP artisan make model. I need the migrations, factories, and the controller as well. What happened? Oh, sorry. Okay, this is done. And now let's just see how we can tackle the basic functionality. Let me close all the files and open up the migration at first. So this is create bookmarks table. Now what do we need? Obviously we need allow the user to add a name, which can be optional. So that's a title. It can be nullable. We need obviously a link. Now this can be a little bit of a problem because a varchar has a limit of 255 characters, and a URL can potentially have a lot more than that. So how do we do it? Let's keep it text for now, but obviously then we need some kind of field which can be used for recognition, right? So let's do one thing. The title is kind of required. Okay, otherwise there is no way for the user to know what is the identifier or what was bookmarked. Obviously we need the user ID. I think there was a foreign ID if I'm not wrong. Let me look at the docs. Database, migrations, creating columns. I think it's perfectly fine to not memorize things, because these things are always available on the documentation section. So yes, I typically don't memorize them. I just go to the docs and see what are the different options available. But it is basically an unsigned big integer, right? So this is what it will alias to. Now obviously we need the user ID. And what else? I wanted to have a functionality of tagging bookmarks so that we can categorize them, but I think we will do it as a different table and a different structure, so we can skip that for now. I think this is fine. We can start with this, and because we have created the migrations, why don't we create the factory as well? So we need a title. How does the faker work? Is it this faker, right? Yes, this faker, and I'll go over here, this faker and URL. Sorry, this can be Word. I think there's a helper for Word, and we need a URL, which I think is present as well on faker. And then the user ID can be for now hard coded to 1, which is fine. I could have done a factory and user create, but that's fine. I think this is good enough. And inside our model, this is bookmark factory. I need the model bookmark. Inside the models folder, if you are not aware, let me just clear everything. And inside apps, there is a models folder. Inside that we have bookmark. What I would like to do is $guarded is empty, so that I can create or mass assign stuff while creating entries. And with this, let us quickly go to the seeders, database seeder, app, models, bookmark, factory. I need 10, create. Let me see the user model. Is there any trait which needs to be there? Use factory. This trait is there in our bookmark as well. So yes, we can use the factory. And now if I go to my terminal, there was a, okay, I don't know where the migration went. So PHP artisan migrate, refresh, seed should allow me to look at the database again. And I have a new table called bookmarks. There are 10 entries. There's a user. So yes, so far we have been able to get some data in our database. Then why don't we do one thing? Create a listing. I know this is a little boring stuff, but let us create the listing and then we will go into the interesting part of creating the add of a bookmark. Right, so we have a URL, a get URL, which is bookmark controller referenced and the index method, and the name is bookmark index. So I'll go to my bookmark controller and create a function. In here, let's just say we want to return an inertia response. So inertia render, inside bookmark, we will have list / index. Obviously we need to create it, and I need to import inertia. Okay, so this is done. Now we'll go to our resources folder. Where is our resources folder? In here, I'll go to JS. Inside pages, I'll create this TSX file. So bookmarks / list / index. It will automatically create that folder structure. And let me steal the basic stuff from here and put it here inside this new component, bookmark list page. Okay, and now if I go to this URL from my browser, I don't need UI, and let me just go to this. So this is an inertia response, so basic stuff done. Why don't we look at how we can render the data? I'm not going to worry right now too much on the UI. We will figure that out as we go, but we need the bookmarks, right? So why don't we do something like $bookmarks equals bookmark. I do that query because I can then keep the conditions in the next line. Okay, user ID will be, okay, I need the auth user ID, and which will mean, first of all, let me import bookmark model, the auth, and inside web, because I need the auth object, so I'll have to get the middleware in place, because obviously I want that the bookmarks are behind authentication. So obviously we need the middleware in here. Okay, and once this is done, we will get the auth user object. So this is done, and why don't we first of all do get. Okay, this will give me the entire result set, which is fine for now. We are just trying to get the basic stuff done. And now if I come over here, hit refresh, open up my console and see the components, I have bookmark listing page and the bookmarks is here. Okay, so this is good stuff. We have made good progress. Let me go to this particular place and I'll define an interface to get those props properly. I'll say this is a React functional component. These are the props. Okay, this is done. And what are we expecting? We are expecting bookmarks. For now, we will keep it any, or rather, what is it? It's an array, right? It's an array. So of any object, we will change that later and we can deconstruct the bookmarks over here. Let's just have a div which will render stuff, and inside that div we will have ul list group. This is typical bootstrap stuff. We'll have li, and what I am going to do is bookmarks dot length greater than 0. If this is the thing, then bookmarks dot map, so bookmark and index, return this list item. First, let me add the key. This is required for a proper updation of data. Why don't we right now only print the title? Okay, this is done. Come over here and refresh. Okay, the words are a little horrible, so we will have to work over it, but fine. This is in our listing. I think I need a layout, otherwise it will be very difficult. So inside components, why don't we have a common folder inside that layout, and then index.tsx. This is the component which will be extended on all the pages which we have, and this will kind of declare what kind of layout we are using. Exporting the layout, and I need to say that this component, right? This is again a React functional component. I'll have some props in here, and I'll have children. Okay, and this children will be rendered over here. So what children does is basically whatever is inside that tag will be rendered in this particular location. So that's what we are trying to do. So if I go over here in this page, right, let's just say we import layout, and inside that I have this div. Let's add a little bit of styling information as well. Div row, div column, sm8, and then this. So with that done, we have our basic thing in place. At least it's not looking so ugly, and we have our bookmark listing done over here. And the next thing which we need to do is we need to follow a package which will allow us to get some Opengraph data, so that when the user is adding a bookmark, we show him some information like typically you get with Twitter or with Facebook when you share a link, right? So we will be using a package, Laravel Opengraph. Let me see. Yes, this is the one. We are going to use this package to get certain kinds of information. It gives us this array of data from any website, and that's what we are trying to get, and then we will save it. And in the meantime, because we have done quite a lot of things, it's a good time to make a commit. So let me quickly run npm run production, and while we have done that, why don't we quickly review what all things we have changed? There are quite a few files actually. So the entire front-end setup was done, which is a big change. Now we should have actually committed that. So composer.json has a few front-end stuff, actually not few, only the Laravel Inertia packages there. Inside package.json we should have quite a few things. So Babel presets and a few dev dependencies, and then these 3 normal dependencies, right? We have what? tsconfig, webpack mix. So yes, I guess there are quite a few things. The only thing I was waiting for was the public folder to get the minified version, which is right now done. So front end stuff added, and listing of bookmarks working now. So this is my basic commit. Sorry, I haven't staged them, is it? Changes. Yes, so everything is staged. Let me commit and click here, so it will sync. Sync is basically used if you are working in a team. It will first try to do a git pull. If there are any changes, it will add that, and if there are conflicts, you'll have to resolve that, and then only it will allow you to push. Okay, so this is done. So let's look at this package now, and there will be certain kind of changes required in our database as well, because we are not storing quite a few information which is required. Let's first handle the migration. Let's go there. Create bookmark table. Okay, so we have the URL, we have the title. Description is something which we'll require. Why don't we add that? I know this cannot be more than 255 characters. So description, type, we will add that as well. It can be an enum, but I'm not sure about all the types, so I'll keep it as type as a string. So title, description, type, URL. Then we need the image and secure URL. So let's just see. I'm not very sure why we have two different fields, but why don't we do one thing? Image, img, URL. Let's just keep one. So one is like so, and the other one. So I think if someone is doing an HTTP application, and there are certain stuffs which are loaded from HTTPS, it can have mixed content clashes. So it's good to save the entire information. So I think, okay, so yeah, we'll keep image URL and image secure URL. And the last thing, I guess there are quite a few information which is available here. And if we send a parameter as true, which is required in some applications, like I know that Twitter site and Twitter title is used when you are pushing any link to Twitter. So if those information is available, it will be good. But let's just keep simple for now, and let's work with it, and then we will see what else we need. Okay, so description, it can be nullable. I would assume that some of the stuff which is coming from the package there's a possibility that they may not be available. So they can be, oh, that's not null, it's nullable. Okay, and now let's start npm run watch again, and in the meantime I will refresh my migrations again, go to the database, and we have quite a few null fields because we are not doing them right now. Okay, so that's fine. So with this done, first let's look at how we can use this package. So installation composer required this, so I'll just add that. And while this is happening, let's create a form on the listing page itself. Okay, or rather not, I'll have a different page where we have the add form, and once we click on submit, we will try to fetch the information through this package. Okay, you need to install the DOM extension. Okay, I hope I will be able to run this. So why don't we do one thing? Let's open up Tinker and first try it out. I like the idea of trying out things with Tinker before you are actually writing any code. So I copied this, and let's see if this works. All right, it does. So I am getting this information, which is pretty exciting, and I think most of our work is almost done in terms of backend. So what we can do is, let's just see. I'll create a new function inside our bookmark controller, okay, which is, let's just say, how do we name it? Get preview data. It will be a post URL, so I'll keep the request. The request is here, eliminate HTTP request, right? So post, let me quickly scaffold this. So we will first do a validation in that URL is required. Okay, once we get the URL, what we will do is similar to the example, we will call this function. I'll import this file, and In here we will have post data URL, and we will return. Okay, so how do we return this? Now what we will do is return an array, which is the data. Okay, Inertia will show this in a pop-up for, because anything which is not an Inertia response does render in that way, but we will later handle that properly. So we have this preview data, and now we will create a page. Okay, by the way, I haven't yet declared the route, so we'll go over here. It's one post URL, which is preview. Let's just say preview preview. The function name is get preview data, and bookmark, let's just say preview. So we have this post URL. We want to have one more, which is bookmark/add. Let's just say this is add function, name is add, and over here I'll create one more function, add. It will return inertia render bookmark, add index I should be small, and let's quickly create this file. Over here, close everything, resources, JS, inside pages, I'll do bookmark add index.tsx. So inside bookmark, if you see, we have two folders. One is the list, and that list has the index.tsx, and we have the add. This is where our form will come in. So I'll steal some of this and put in our add page, and this UL I'll need to remove. The props is going to be different. I don't have bookmarks over here. Okay, and everything is fine. So now let's look at how we can create the bookmark add form. So to create the form, let's first prepare this page. In here we'll have a form tag. Okay, this shortcut doesn't work, so I had a small little shortcut which would add a little bit of markup, but that's fine. HTML or link. Okay, so we have this in place. Now obviously, because this is a functional component, I will use the use state hook so that we can have some state in our component. So let's just do this array equals use state. Okay, this will import use state from React. We'll have to initialize the first values. Okay, I can do that then. Let's just say we have link, which is empty for now, and anything else do we need? Okay, the title can be some hard coded title for now. Okay, so this is our initial state which we will work with, and when anything is changed on this input field, what we can do is on change we'll call a function handle change. Okay, and this handle change will basically update the state. So this handle change will be a constant, is equal to an anonymous function. Okay, and what will it do? So first of all, it will take an event, which is a React change event. Okay, if you are not doing TypeScript, you can directly refer to event, but because I am doing React in TypeScript, I will need to as best practice add these types so that we are aware what is coming. Okay, so we have an input element, so I will do React change event of an HTML input element, and then in here we will do set state, because we have already defined the function which will be used for set state. In this we will first use the state as this, and then event dot current target dot name. Okay, all these hintings are coming because we have the this events type already defined. Okay, so yes, so the event key, and what will be the value? Event dot current target dot value. With this, what we can expect is whatever is added in the link, right, will be available here. And because the name is link, what is going to happen is the state with link property will automatically change. So let's do that and come over here. We have bookmark slash add. Oops, it went to the docs. Bookmark controller does not exist, which is very strange. I haven't saved it, so maybe that was the reason. Let me refresh. Yes. So I have this component being rendered, and this component bookmark add page has this state. And in this, if I do HTTP, it is changing. So we are in a good position. Now the only thing is on submit we'll have to do certain things. So let's quickly handle the submit of that form as well. Constant, let's just name the function handle submit. Handle submit will expect an event which is React form event, HTML form element. Okay, these are few things which I have read over Stack Flow and everything, and that's why I know. But yes, you'll have to read up a bit so that you can start understanding what event goes where. For example, when there is an event for HTML input elements, it's HTML input element event type. When it is a form, then it's HTML form element. So things like that. Okay. Anyways, so on form submit, we don't want to do much. Just let's just say submit. We'll have a URL. So what will it be? Bookmark. Okay, what was the URL which we had? Bookmarks/preview, right? So why don't we use this? Later on, we will see how we can use the Ziggy package to get stuff properly done. But yes, we have Inertia post to a URL, which is bookmark/preview. It will be a post stuff. And inside the controller, we want the URL, which is fine. And the return will be our data. So if everything is done properly, what I would expect is a pop-up which shows the return data. So let me copy this, enter over here. Okay, things haven't gone well. Okay, I know why. We did the entire form submit, but we haven't even called it. How will React know that we even want to trigger something like that? So my bad. I need to copy the URL again. Copy this, paste it here, and nothing happened, is it? Let's go to the network tab, and in here I have preview request went like this, and there was no response, which is very weird. So it's a 302 post call. So the data is going, however, for some reason didn't return anything back. And why is that? So if I do a logger, I'm sure we will get something out of it. Laravel log file should be created inside storage logs. Laravel log, we have some entries over there. I have cleaned up the file, and now if I submit again, nothing happened. So we have post data. Are we getting that? Let's just see. Oh, you know what? I think it's validation failure which is creating the problem, because we are sending link over here and we are expecting URL. So that was wrong. Now I think if we refresh, okay, now I have something else in my clipboard. So unsplash, clear the network tab, and yes, at least we have a response. So that's one step forward. Non-static method fetch should not be called statically. That's interesting. We were able to do everything from here. Then why is it complaining inside the controller? Non-static method fetch should not be called. Right, and it is pointing to the same line number. This is really interesting. I think the namespacing is not correct. So if we come over here, this is open graph, right? Let me do one thing. Let me do something like this. And now I think I don't need to refresh, I just hit function again. It says undefined index URL. Okay, my bad. So it is going over here. So we have some improvement again. Now I'm not going to edit these because I would want you to know how things work and how I debug. But okay, so we have the data over here, which is good. Now we have the minimum, no, what was minimum expected is working for us. Okay, so while recording, I made a small mistake, and so I decided to create a video in between. So I'll just tell you what happened. Basically, after recording, I realized that a little piece of my recording was not properly done. So after returning data, how I created the view is something which I didn't show properly. But what I am going to do is tell you what the actual workaround is. So we have this form, and on enter, and this is the kind of response we get. Actually, the true is on, so you will get a little more data. Let me try it once more. And yes, this is what the data is. Okay, and I was initially planning to show this in a view on this particular page itself, but then I decided that I will change it a bit because, so this is the kind of response which we were getting. Initially, I was trying to show the entire view here and then allow the user to save, but I have changed the flow, which you will see in the subsequent video. Save whatever we have done. So let's go back. And the process is simple: npm run production. It will create the minified JS files and CSS files, and then quickly look at what files have changed. So yes, I think generally we made some changes in the controller. This is the new link and the page. Then we have this index page where the form is created. Composer.json. Why? Okay, because we have this new composer package which we have installed. So yeah, I think these are all good to go. Able to fetch URL based data using OG package. Okay, and then sync over here, and we are done. Close everything. And now we will look at how we can pass the information from this particular page to another page and also allow the user to see the URL based information and save it to database. Okay, so while recording, I made a small mistake, and so I decided to create a video in between. So I'll just tell you what happened. Basically, after recording, I realized that a little piece of my recording was not properly done. So after returning data, how I created the view is something which I didn't show properly. Okay, but what I am going to do is tell you what the actual workaround is. So we have this form, and on enter, and this is the kind of response we get. Actually, the true is on, so you will get a little more data. Let me try it once more. And yes, this is what the data is. Okay, and so this is the kind of response which we were getting. Initially, I was trying to show the entire view here and then allow the user to save, but I have changed the flow, which you will see in the subsequent video. So now that our basic functionality is working, I have planned to create a flow where whenever a user is adding a URL and clicking on that button, right, we will first save the entry in the database with maybe a flag as active as 0, and take that user to a new page where that information is available. And if the user then decides to save it, then we will set the flag active as 1, which will mean, now let's see how we do it. I'll go to the migration files, have table boolean is active, and the default value should be 0. So by default, everything is 0. And what I will do is I'll run a cron, which let's just say after every hour, we'll look for is active equals 0, and those which are created about a year, or not a year, rather an hour back. And if we find certain entries like that, then we will just simply discard them or basically delete them from the database. Okay. So yeah, so which will mean what will happen is, let's just go to our bookmark controller where we have the code to fetch information. I'll keep this true flag as well in here because I looked at the documentation, and what it says is if we send it as true, right, you can also pass an optional parameter either true or false along with URL. When set false, it will only fetch basic metadata. In case it's true, it will fetch optional metadata and Twitter meta tags as well. So basically what I would like to do is, if the title and everything is not available, maybe I'll look for the Twitter metadata as well. So I'll keep it as true. Okay. And what we can do is, let's just see our data structure. I'll have to, where is my terminal? Yes, I'll refresh my database and come over here. Is active is 0, which is fine. Let me go over to the Cedar. Where is the database? Cedars, database Cedar. When I'm creating this, is active should be 1, because later on, or why later on, let's just add in here a where condition is active should be 1. So we are going to only show the active bookmarks. Okay, so what will happen is inevitably bookmarks will show an empty result because none of them were active. And if I refresh again, so I am able to see this. This is fine. I don't think this was a major change, but now over here we will have to save that information. So what are the basic ones that we care about? We have bookmark create. In this there is description, which can be data, and then what? I'll have to see tinker data dot description. Okay, I can have other kinds of checks and balances as well, but let's just do the basic one because I know few of them are working. So after description we have title as well. Then we have type. We do get a type, so this or empty. Okay, and type, if I'm not wrong, is a nullable thing, right? Yes, so this is nullable. I think this also we can do empty. Should work, at least it works in JavaScript. So nowadays I do get confused a little bit between PHP and JavaScript, but that's fine. Let's see. What else do we have? So title description type, and obviously the URL, which is the most important thing. So post data link. Then we have image URL, image secure URL, img URL that was coming as image. Okay, let's just be done with image actually. And from here I will just remove this. Image URL is just fine. And from the factory, these are anyways not present. So yeah, I think that's fine. So let's quickly see what we have. Bookmark create is active will be 0, right? So bookmark equals this. User ID is something which I need to add in. So request user ID, and then we will take the user to a URL, return redirect to a route bookmark dot view, which we will create. And why don't we send the data ID equals bookmark ID. Okay, so this is something which we are doing for the user. We will comment this rendering. So basically we are fetching this information, we are creating an entry, and then we will be redirecting the user to a new URL which we will create over here. Let me quickly do that. Route get bookmark view, bookmark controller class view, and the name of this route will be same as what we redirected to, right? Where is this? Right. So that's that, and then we need to have the ID over here. Now go to the controller. Inside the controller, we need to create our new function which will handle the view. So view, and let's just see. I can do a route model binding here as well, right? So bookmark, I'll just import the class. I think it's already there, right? And let's just try to see if we are able to get the bookmark object first. So let me go back to the URL slash add. This is the form, https, okay, / bookmark view missing required parameters. Okay, so what is the problem in here? If I do bookmark, I think then it will work because I'm doing a route model binding, right? So it should receive that as parameter, right? So you can see we are getting whatever we wanted, and this is sweet. So in the next screen, we will handle the view part. So to create a page where we can show this bookmark, this temporary created bookmark, let's look at the controller over here. We will expect a page. So why don't we go into our resources, JS pages, and inside bookmark, let me add view / index.tsx. And let me first bootstrap the component. So this is my basic layout. And if you remember, inside add, we had this thing, right, which was the data which we were displaying. But now come to think of it, what we will do is we will not use this component to display the page. So we can get rid of this props from here. Okay, I don't need to send the props again. These two things can be deconstructed, removed from here. And let's look at the code. This can be state link because we don't want to show the link anywhere. And I'll just need to remove this markup from our index.tsx of add page. And inside view, we will be showing this option. So I'll have a row like so, and then we do this. Now, obviously, this will mean I need props over here. I'll have data, or rather, let's just have bookmark. Right now it is any, react.fc. In that I have props, and that's my bookmark over here. And what I can do is wherever we have, let's just say title, right, we will do bookmark. So which means this component should have the bookmark data, and in here we will do return inertia render. We have bookmark folder, inside that view index $bookmark, and we should be fine. But I just want to ensure that we do one round of check, that if auth user ID is not equal to bookmark user ID, then we should not allow the user to see that particular page. So abort. The first one will be code. You are not allowed to view this bookmark. It's an exception for now. We will gracefully handle it, but I think you will get the idea of what we are trying to do over here. Okay, so with this done, what we are saying is from here it will redirect to this page. This page will get this data, and this is it. So let's do a dry run and see what is happening. I'll refresh this page, add this URL. Is my JavaScript working? No, it's not. npm run watch. Let me start that. Okay, so this is done. Sorry, I need to refresh. It's not going to automatically load. Okay, so we have a strange looking one over here and few stuff. Let's see what's that one. And also open up my console and see what kind of data we are getting. Okay, so obviously we need to structure our card a little bit. So let's just say my card is only of 6 columns. Okay, width equals 100%. Now the image will be what, img underscore URL. So we will show that. Title is fine. So in the header, we are already showing the title of the bookmark. So that's fine. Description, why is it showing 1? That's a little weird. We'll have to fix that. We will do that in a bit. Type is also 1, which is again very strange. I'll show the URL. So URL should be what? Bookmark.url. And if I now refresh, yeah. So this is visible. Now the only thing which we need to tackle is the fact that we are not seeing the description properly. The description is not coming because for some reason, data description, that would have failed. So why don't we add a logger and see what is coming in our log file. So inside storage, logs, I'll clear this file and let's try this page again. Hit enter. We are here. Okay, so description is available, that's for sure. However, we never got that properly. Why is that? Let's go to our database. Varchar 255, this is fine. So the question is, what is wrong with our code? Let's see. Sorry, let's go to Visual Studio Code. So we have logged data, which is fine. And in here, we have description. Everything seems to be correct. Create bookmarks table. This is string, description, nullable. This is also fine. So where is the problem? Okay, while we are doing this, why don't we remove this if condition? I think it's a wrong thing to do. That's why it's coming. It's checking for binary, I think. If it is a set, then it prints 1, otherwise empty. And that's where we were getting that 1 and in the description. So let me try once more. Oh yes, this is much better. So we have a card and now we have a bookmark. Okay, so the last thing which we would like to do is, as you can see, so far all these bookmarks are active with 0, so they will not be visible. We will have a button over here which has a save in it. So this is bookmark over here, and inside the body we should have a button. So button.btn primary will have save. Okay, and on that we will trigger a function. So on click handle save. Okay, this is the function which we will write down right now. It will expect an event react dot, this is what, form, no, this will be form or HTML button is the correct thing for a button. So Typescript HTML button, sorry, event. Okay, so we are expecting a mouse event. This is fine, we can go with that. Okay, and we can do event.prevent default because obviously it's a click, so we can use that. Okay, and on click we will do an inertia.post, which should be what? We need a URL for this, right? Why don't we say bookmark / make active? Okay, and what we are going to send is ID, which will be bookmark.id. That's the only thing which we want. Okay, and once that is done, we will redirect the user. So that's something which we will be handling through the controller for sure. But yeah, so we need to create this URL. It will be a post URL for sure. So come over here, route post. Route spelling is wrong. Route post bookmark slash make active bookmark controller class, and make active is my function name. Name will be bookmark active. Okay, so far so good. I need to create a function, so let's come over here. The last function is make active. We need the request object. First we will need the post data, which will be this validate send the request object, and an array of rules where id is the only thing which is required exists in the table bookmarks. Okay, and the column name is id obviously. And again we will put this condition as part of our permission check, that if you're not allowed to make this bookmark active. This is a basic permission check, because the user who is making that post request should be the owner of the bookmark. And once that is done, what we can do is bookmark where id post data id update is active should be 1, and then return redirect to route. Let's just say for now we will take him to the index page and not on the detail. Let's start with the entire flow. Bookmarks slash add. Oh, sorry. Bookmark slash add. This is the form. We click over here. Come to this page. Okay, my button has no styling. Why is that? It's button and btn dash primary. That was wrong. So let me correct that. Okay, a little bit of margin will be required. MB3 maybe. Hit refresh. All right, so I have this. Hit save. Wow, undefined variable bookmark. Why is that? Come over here. Oh, that's my bad. We don't have bookmark, right? That will never happen because we haven't done a route model binding. So $bookmark is equal to bookmark find. We already have validated the post data, so post data id. Okay, so we do this. Now we will have the user id, because now we have loaded the bookmark. And then why don't we do one thing instead of this, because we will again make a where condition, which is of no use. We already have the bookmark, so bookmark is active equals 1, bookmark save, and yeah, we just return back user to the listing. So let's check once again. We are over here on 20. I do save, and I have the one at the bottom. So obviously one quick change in the index, where is index, is that I make this order by descending. Let's just say what created at, right? Or rather updated at. So the active ones will be on top. Okay, yeah. And why don't we also link them? But I think before linking I will need to install Ziggy so that I can properly route them. So let's not do that right now. Let's check the database. So in the database I have this unsplash, which is active, shows 1, which is great. So let me just delete this inactive ones. We will have a cron for that as well. And let me try out with my own website as well. Let's see if it is coming properly. Bookmark slash add, hit enter. Takes a bit of time. I'll have a loader maybe. And I have this bookmark, which is great. Hit save. And we have title Amitav Roy blog. So as you can see, the basic stuff, which is bookmarking, is done. So our basic listing is there. Now let's look at more features. We have to beautify our bookmarks on the listing page as well. So yeah, we will handle them one by one and see how things come up. So before we make any more code changes, I think it's a good time that we push our code again, because we have done quite a few things and it's better that we have that on Git now, because now I will be making some UI changes. So I have executed the npm run production, the minified files are ready, and I will add these files. So git add git commit with a message. Let us quickly check what are the files. So bookmark controller, there are certain changes, which is fine. Route redirect, okay, this is fine. We made this change is active, fine. This is also done. The seeder has this and the rest of the changes, that's fine. So I think we can push everything. So the message is what? Bookmark is now getting added to DB with active status, and I'll do git push. So this is done, and now let's worry about our UI a bit, okay, because right now we don't have anything in navigation and stuff, so it's really difficult to navigate around the application. So yeah, where is my navigation bar? This is not the navigation bar I was looking for. Where is it? Nav bar. This is strange. Navs. No. Is that menu? Menu is not the one. Nav bar. Oh yes, this is what I wanted. Okay, so I keep forgetting the markup, so I'll have to refer to this. There's one where we can kind of log out, is on the right hand side. Let me see. I think we also have one version which is inside resources, views, layouts, app.blade, right? This has a navigation, yes. What I'll do is I'll just repurpose this. Okay, this is good enough. It gives a good starting point for us. However, we'll need to modify the forms and everything because we don't want to log out like that. So let me go into JS, components, common. We have a layout right now. I'll have nav/index.tsx. Let me set up the boilerplate. Thinking of creating a shortcut for this so that this template comes up every time I try to create a functional component. I'll paste this. Now with any HTML, the first thing which we'll have to do is obviously, right, the class becomes class name and a few things will change. Bookmark, that's the name of the app. We will make certain changes afterwards as well, but let's just have the basic things in place. Right side, authentication links. Everything will be authenticated because this entire layout is only for the guest, for the authenticated user. This is navbar, margin left. This I think should be logout. So this is being rendered properly, which means the entire markup is now ready for use. Inside container, what I will do is, okay, this is a catch-22 situation because container cannot have the menu, otherwise the menu will be fixed with. What I can do is make this fluid, have the menu, div container again, and in that I'll have children. So now if I refresh, it's Diwali, you may hear some crackers, but yeah, what can I do? Okay, the menu is here, but it should be outside the container. So we have a problem. what we can do to circumvent that is create react.fragment. It allows you to have two parent components inside it. Otherwise React does complain. So we have this top menu. Okay, and div margin bottom 3 should give us some room at top to work with things. Okay, this is done. Now a quick change inside menu, we have this, right? So in here, bookmarks, and let's just refresh and see. Yes, this is here, and one more bookmark add, and we refresh. So we have two links. One is you can say we will redirect the user to the home page or the dashboard page where the listing will be visible, and the one next to it is where the form will be there to add a bookmark. Okay, so the next thing which we are trying to do is, why don't we set up our routes so that we can start referencing them inside JavaScript. So for that, there is a good library also mentioned in Inertia, which is Ziggy. However, I would like you to make a note that I will be using the Ziggy's, not the latest version, because the latest version as of now is 102. I'm going to install the one which is 094 because I found certain issues with the latest version, and hence I decided to roll back. So let me go inside my composer.json first, and over here in require I will add TIGHTENCO. Let me copy that. No. Right. Titan Co, Ziggy, and the version which I'm looking at is 094. Okay, and once I do that, I can do composer install. It will pull that version. Similarly, did it install it? I'm not sure. Let me see the vendor directory. Inside vendor. No, I don't have Titan. That's a little weird because composer install. Okay, composer update. It may take some time. Okay, composer 2's update is quite fast, I would say. Yeah, in one it would have taken a lot of time, but yes, now we have that package. So this is good news. And similarly, we need the JavaScript version as well. So there are two packages which we need to install. Let me go to package.json. We have dependency for one which is Ziggy JS, and I want the 0.94 version of it. Okay, and I also want the types. So at types Ziggy JS, and that's on 0.9.0. Oops, 9 became a 0. So this is done. I'll hit npm install. Let me see if it pulls those dependencies as well. It says Ziggy JS 094. Oh, that's my bad. Should be 9.4. That's why it complained. Okay, I think everything is properly done. So let's go to the documentation quickly. Okay, it says that you need to add this directive in the blade file for the routes to come in. So let me show you what's the case. Right now, if I do inspect element, let me come over here. In the head part of it, we have script, and that's it. Now I'll go to app.blade.php, which is the template which we are using inside Inertia. And after adding that, if I look at the script, right, you'll see all JSON kind of structure, which is what Ziggy does. It gives you the entire object. Okay, So that's done. And now how do we use it inside our JavaScript? So let's say we open up menu, or it was nav.read, right? So in here, I want to first of all link it to the form. So instead of a tag, I'll do inertia link. Okay. So a tag becomes inertia link. The props which are required for this is very similar to what we give it to an a tag, but the only thing is we have a route function now. Okay, if you see, route function is coming from Ziggy JS. What is the name of our route? It is expense.add, bookmark.add, but I'll still copy that from here and URL. Okay, and now if I go to our app, hit refresh and click here, voila, it's a single page application. You can see the page doesn't refresh, right? Why don't we handle this as well? So over here, inertia link, and we need to change the href. That's bookmark.list.url. Okay, this is done. Hit refresh. Okay, something broke. Ziggy bookmark list is not found. I may have done a typo. I did. So it's not list, it's index. So it will complain if you make a mistake. That's obvious. So now we have everything very nicely done. And one more small little change which we would like to make is, let's just say we want to link these things. So we have bookmark/view, right? This is the index where we are showing everything. Why don't we link this? Okay, no. So this is the view. I am talking about the index. So bookmark list. This is the page where all the listings is done, right? So in here we have title. Why don't we do a little bit of modification over here, because this is not looking so good. So div, we will have some styling, but right now let's say we have title, and then we have br, then one more span, bookmark.description. This can be not a span, rather. Why don't we make it inertia link? Inertia link, I don't want to have any class, but the href will be route function expense.view. Okay, it's a route which expects bookmark, which is bookmark.id. Okay, and then the URL. So if everything is correct, I'll go to home page. Okay, everything is not correct. There's some problem. Expense.view is not found in route list. That's a little weird. Web.php. What is the name of our... Oh, my bad. Actually, I was doing the recent series on my YouTube channel, which is expense. And so that's kind of stuck in my head. That's bad. Okay, so it is linked. And if I click over here, I can see the bookmark. That's wonderful, right? So we have our basic stuff in place. Why don't we do one thing? Database seeder. We will just comment this out. Okay. PHP artisan migrate, refresh. Seed will only add the user data. So if I refresh now, it's empty. I'll come over here. Unsplash. I have this. I do save. I am shown this first bookmark. I'll do HTTPS www. Why don't I just use some article from my bookmark website? So the Typescript one. By the way, if you want to be updated on the articles which I write, you can go to this little widget and subscribe so that you get notifications. Okay. All right. So this is the link. It'll take a little bit of time. I don't know why it is taking that much time. Maybe it's my internet connection, but it took that information and it says, here it is. So I do save and this is visible. So why use TypeScript instead of JavaScript? So these are some UI related stuff that I have done, and I think our UI is slowly coming into its own form. We'll need to make certain changes. For example, I'll try to show the type of website and maybe a small thumbnail of it. But yeah, things are going to come. We'll have a pagination here as well. But so far with the UI, we have made certain progress. So the only thing which we now need to handle is the logout thing. So let me go to the nav, and over here on logout, why don't we do one thing? We will, I think in the documentation, there is a way, links, and in links, right, Inertia href logout post as button. So I can do something like this. Not as button, but by default Inertia renders as anchor. However, you can change the tag using attribute. Okay. No. So what I'm planning to do here is Inertia link. Okay, I'll change this, and the class name is still fine. Okay. The method will be its post. Okay. And then href is obviously going to be route. What is the name of the route? Let's look at that. We have logout. This is the name, right? Yeah. So logout. So this is how I have formed the Inertia link, and ideally it should allow me to log out. So let's see whether it does or not. So logout. Okay. And the only problem here is we get a pop-up, which I'll have to fix. I think this is happening because my homepage is not an Inertia response, and logout will bring me there. So one quick fix is obviously we go to web.php. This is the welcome, right? So why don't we do one thing? Welcome controller. So PHP artisan make controller, welcome controller, and inside the welcome controller, not the welcome blade, inside welcome controller, we have index. It will return Inertia render welcome index. Obviously I need to create that. I'll import Inertia. Let me see how big is the welcome. No, I don't need that. I think I'll go over here inside the resources, views, not views, JS, pages, welcome /index.tsx, bootstrap. Okay, like so. And we will just have one link over here. Okay, which is obviously a problem because I'll have to do an A tag because those are not Inertia routes. So login, I'll do those designing part later on, but basic idea is that if we want to register here, and so the welcome blade will change, right? We have made that change. So web.php, over here we will say this is now coming from welcome controller, class index, name is home, no, not home, index. Okay, I need to import this welcome controller, and now it says index assumed, use of undefined constant index. Why is that? Because yeah. All right, so we have this. It takes me to the login page. I log in, and if I now log out, it takes me back to the home page. Obviously there is a lot of things to do for this app to become ready for live, because registration form is not complete. I am still not doing the email verified, which I will do slowly, but the basic stuff, which is a user can log in. Okay, this is home. Why don't we come over here to our login controller? So there's a provider which gives the home, right? And as far as I remember, web.php or bookmarks is the home. So why don't we do that? Okay, so it doesn't take this. So maybe it will take a string, which is bookmarks. All right, that does. So I'll come over here again, login. Okay, I need to refresh the page because login, let's see, not John Doe, reach me at Amitav Roy. And yes, we have done this properly. The basic steps are done. Add form will be working, and so does our listing and logout. So now that our application is ready, why don't we look at the deployment strategy for this application? I have seen a lot of comments by many users who have said that they are facing issues while deploying an application in Inertia Js and Laravel in general. So the first thing which I would like to tell you is that for Inertia, there is no different setup required while deploying your application to a server. So I will show you the same process which I follow for my own server setups, and then you will get an understanding of how typically an application can be pushed to a production environment. Now, I am going to use a VM which I have created on one of my desktop, and I will use that as my empty VM to set up everything. First thing which I typically do is I have a gist which I have created. Come over here. This is right, lem stack, right? So this is typically what I use for any Nginx, PHP, MySQL server setup. The only thing is I haven't updated it. I could have easily gone with 7.4. So I will do that while I am installing it. And there are certain packages which you might, I would say, ignore. For example, PGSQL, IMAP, then Xdebug for sure on production. So this is something which I have created for my development machine, but I remove certain things based on the setup of the application for production. Anyways, before even going there, we need to ensure that everything in our application is committed properly. So npm run production. Let me create the build, open up the code in Visual Studio Code, and let's see. It says theme has changed. Let me reload it. And while that's done, we have around 20 files which have changed. So let us quickly look at them. So this is the welcome controller. What have I changed in route service provider? Okay. The home has been changed to bookmarks. That's fine. Public folder we can skip. Everything is fine there. Package.json has a new entry. This is fine. Ziggy was installed. Opengraph, Ziggy, that's fine. What are these routes for? Welcome controller. Okay. Production build is ready. I can do it at any point of time. What is this? I have added the routes. Fine. Welcome. Home. I think everything is fine. I can just simply say before working on the production build. Okay, and I will just hit sync. Everything should go to GitHub, github.com, Amitav Roy. So in here, I'll go to this Amitav dev zone where all our repositories are. This is still a private package, but once I release the video, it will be public for sure. So let me see, what is my last commit? It says 1 minute ago. Yeah. So today is 26th November. I took a big gap. You can see 15th and then 26th. But anyways, so now our GitHub repository is ready. Okay, the entire production code is there, and I am also ready with my gist. So let's get started. So my VM is on my local IP SSH Amitav at 192.168.0.109. It will ask you for this fingerprint thing. You can just say yes. Okay, so my server is ready. I am on an 18.04 if I'm not wrong. Okay, so the first thing is, let's see, apt-get update. I'm installing git, tmux, vim, curl, wget, zip. Okay, htop you can skip if you want to. I like using htop because it gives me better. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, sorry, I was saying that htop gives me better, analytics about the services which are running. So this is top, but yeah, sudo, why is it not getting updated? Okay, so this is happening, and then okay, that's done. I need to install nginx. Once that is done, I need to add the php ppa. Okay, and then these three commands I can basically run one after the other. All right, so once this is done, what I will do is copy this, close everything in a new file. Let's just search for php 7.2, replace it with 7.4. gd mysql. I am not using memcached, so maybe I'll remove that. xml curl xdebug, I will remove it for sure. So this is my final list. Go to the terminal and start installing all of these. Okay, now one thing is, I will not be pointing a domain, right? Because it's a VM, and if it was something on maybe AWS or DigitalOcean, I could have pointed a domain to that particular server, and my browser would have, redirected the traffic to that particular server. However, in this case, I can't do that. So I'll play around with my etc host. This is a file which can tell the browser that if I am requesting for this particular domain, if that entry is there in the host file, it will redirect to that particular IP instead of anything else. Okay, this is a very common thing. So on Mac and Linux, it is inside etc hosts. And if you are on Windows, it should be inside C drive, Windows System 32, and then I think it's etc hosts and drivers, something like that. I mean, you can Google around and you will be able to find it. I forgot my password. Is it? Oh, sorry, my bad. So it's sudo vi, because I need to say something. Can't just execute that. And what I am trying to say is point to 192.168.0.109 when the domain name is bookmark.dev. Yeah, maybe that's about it. Okay. Now let's just see if I go to my browser and hit 192.168.0.109, I get this beautiful nginx starting page. That's fine. And if I do, okay, why does it redirect to HTTPS? It is a problem. Come over here again, try one more time. All right, so there was something to do with the dev, maybe conflicting with something else. But as you can see, this is the same nginx which is running on my VM. Okay, how do I know this for sure? Let's check out. So var www html, inside that I have this file, right? If I empty it out, okay, I don't have the permission, so sudo su, sorry, and if I clean this, refresh, you can see everything is gone. So this is the file which we are looking at. If I run the IP thing as well, so you can see both are identical. So we are on the same place, correct? Now, the next thing, as far as our gist goes, we need to do our MySQL installation as well. So let's keep that in place. So it will continue to do its thing. And in the meantime, Laravel docs. So deployment. All right, everything is there. So yeah, I think this is a good starting point for me to pick up. Server in our case is bookmark-app, right? So yeah, bookmark-app. This is done. Where do I want to place it? I can do maybe something like home. Amitav bookmark / public. Okay. Again, this is completely up to you. How do you want to place it? Some people, some users may say that I don't want to put it in the home folder. I can do something like OPT server. It's up to you. I mean, it's clearly there's no hardbound rule. There are certain, good things, bad things about every folder permissions. I think you need to properly define the ownership, and then you are quite safe in that sense. So Nginx installation is done. I need to go into etc Nginx. Okay, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, the font size is big now. So etc Nginx, here you will find two folders, sites available. Okay, and this is a file, and there is also sites enabled, right? And one of them is a symlink, but typically I will do sites available. Let's do sudo vi bookmark app.com. So this will be the Nginx configuration file. Any file on this folder Nginx should pick up. One important piece here is that you should point to the public folder. Okay, so I'll do this, go to my home folder. I'll create a directory called bookmark, get into it. Okay, inside public, insert mode. Let's just see if we are able to get this. Okay, now we have made certain changes to Nginx, so I will need to run this command sudo service nginx. There's one thing called config test. It basically allows you to check whether your configuration that you have made is correct or not, and if it fails, then you don't need to restart, because otherwise your production server can stop. So my config test is passing, so I can do restart or reload, whatever is there. Reload will mean the other sites will not stop, so that's a safer option, but right now we have only one, so I can reload. Seems it has not picked up, so let's go to etc nginx. Okay, in here sites enabled. Now I need to create a symlink, so sudo lns. Okay, so symlink, I think it's like you create the name first and then the path, or it's the path first. Okay, I always get confused. So linux sym link command. Sorry about that. As I have told you, I don't memorize these things. Source file and link. And when it comes to directory, if you want to create a symlink from this to this, okay, so if mnt my drive movies is the source, so source in my case is etc nginx sites available, and then what, bookmark to here as bookmark app.com. Let me see. Yes, we have two files. Nginx restart. This is a little fishy. Okay, so my bad, guys. I think you guys must be laughing at me. The issue which I found after all the debugging is that I just had a wrong starting tag. The PHP was missing, and hence it was not interpreting. So what I did was I ran this command php index.php, and this was not showing anything initially. So I understood that the file has some problems. And when I did that, and now if I restart, you can see I am getting the output. This is PHP info being printed. So yes, our Nginx is properly pointing to a folder. This is good news. So now what I will do is I will just delete this folder. Okay, we have git, so why don't we come over here and take this apps clone. Oops, git clone this as bookmark. Okay, that was the name of the folder. So this is an HTTPS kind of a URL. Typically I do a git URL, so that SSH URL, so that I don't need to enter password, because then I can automate it. But yeah, for now let's just move with this. Okay, it says password is wrong. That's bad news. Okay, what I'm thinking is maybe, you know, I don't know why it is not accepting the password, but definitely one small change which I can do is make this public. So at least I'll be able to clone. Now, if I try to do this, it is doing a clone. So now I will go inside Bookmark. I think it's Composer install what dev dependencies. Oh, sorry, no dev. I'll try to find Composer. Okay, so Composer is not installed. I have this in my list, so I can do that. Composer will get installed. I haven't executed this command for now, so I'll do that as well. New password, keep it simple password. Remove anonymous users, yes. Disallow root login, yes. Yes, reload, all done. Okay, so I'm going a little haywire, but please bear with me. I think I was trying to show you the Nginx configuration while other things were happening. Okay. So now one thing which you will notice is I can't access MySQL. Okay. And now if I do sudo su and do MySQL u root, password is obviously password, I'm able to access. Okay. And this in a way is good thing. I guess you should not log in through root any which ways and use root. So what I typically do is I create a additional user, which is developer. On production, you may want to have very specific permissions for this user, but now because I'm showing you for demo, this is fine. But typically what I do is create user this and then grant privileges on a specific database. Okay, sometimes I even grant selected privileges so that migrations don't drop a table or truncate a table, something like that. Okay, not part of this video. I don't know, otherwise the video will not end. Okay, so now developer password is password and we are able to log in as a normal user. So this is good news. One thing which I should do is create database bookmark. Let's just keep it, okay, as an empty database. And now composer install no dev. Okay, so we are on Composer 2.0. So it is blazing fast. You can see it has downloaded so many things so quickly. Okay, and the setup is done. I know this for a fact because if we come over here, okay, it is still doing PHP info. Let me open up the network tab, see what is happening. It's giving a 500. Now, in such cases, what you can do is look at the log files. In any server, it should be inside var log nginx error.log. Okay, just hit a few enters, run it again. I am sure this is the permission issue. Okay, so to fix this problem, what you should do is sudo chown. So you are changing the owner to www data for storage bootstrap cache. Okay, keep this here, run it again. We have still a 500 error, but the 500 error this time should be different. Or is my preserve log on? Persist log, let me clear it out. Now this one should be related to the PHP key, PHP artisan key generate. Let me see. Okay, permission denied. I know why. So sudo chown the to storage for some time. Okay, I'll do an and. Oh, so yes, I don't even have an env file. What am I doing? .env. Okay, the key is generated. So the problem that I was getting in here is a permission issue because I tried to generate a key first of all, and the log file permission was for a different user. It was www data. Okay, and I had to reset things, and so now I will keep it back to the old permissions, and this is fine. However, why is this at the rate routes coming over here? This is really strange. I'll have to see what is happening. I was not getting that in my local app, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Okay, we'll see that why this is happening. But so login. Okay, now it will not work because we haven't seeded the data. So time to do PHP artisan migrate and seed. Again, I'll have to for some time, maybe, what I can do is chmod / r storage logs Laravel, make it 777. No, I won't do that. That's not a bad good practice. So maybe I'll do chown current user. Okay, for some time again, and it says access denied, obviously, because I need to now set up certain things. For example, database in my case is bookmark developer password. Okay, I can do this as production, but let's keep it like that for now. Okay, faker factory not found. Is it because of, right, this is happening because I have done composer install no dev, and faker is a dev dependency. Okay, so PHP artisan tinker. This is strange. Fair enough. Roy Amitav to any folder inside home should be my folder. I can do anything what I want. I don't know why this problem came in, but anyways, now let me run the default users. So what has happened is we can't run the seeder, obviously, because faker is not available on the production instance, but we can still run this using tinker, right? So let me see. Okay, again it will complain because, okay, I don't think it's a problem. I'll just do user create. Why don't I first type it here? User create. Right, so I have typed the entire thing in one line. Now I'll just try to create this. Okay, user is created. Let's see if I have some luck in here. Of course, I am able to log in, but it is not showing me the pages. It is giving me this @ routes, which is a little strange considering it is working over here. Okay, so after a lot of debugging, I finally found a very strange problem, which is a lot of dependencies were not installed properly. So when I executed composer update, it kind of installed Ziggy, and that was the reason the directive was not being rendered, and which is very strange because I have never seen this problem ever till now. Okay, so yeah, this is strange. I think it was supposed to happen in front of a recording, but who knows. Okay, so I have made certain changes. I'll just revert back. I think that was the reason I was getting some errors. So let me log in now. Yes, I'll have to see why this is happening, but generally things are working. Okay, and link, right? So unsplash, I'll just try to do that. And yes, our application is working. And let me add my own website as well. Maybe this one. 5 reasons why you should use Tailwind. Okay. And yes, we are getting this data. So as discussed, we are running our application on a server, which is now a VM, but it can easily be your EC2 instance or a DigitalOcean droplet. But the idea is we basically installed some of the softwares which were required to host our application on a server. So we installed Nginx, we installed PHP, MySQL, we created a MySQL user, we installed Composer. I haven't installed Node.js because I don't want to compile the package or the minified version on the server. This is something which I will do on my local machine, and I will just push the final app.js and app.css. So I don't need Node unless and until I'm doing really something special on that server, right? And yeah, so if there are anything else in terms of certbots and everything, I could have done that. Obviously on a VM it will not work, but this is the exact flow on deploying our application to a Linux server. I hope this video is useful for you. Yes, there were certain hiccups, but I decided to not edit them, but rather go with the flow, because you will understand what kind of problems you may face, and it is very important that you understand the reason behind why those problems were coming and how I have fixed them. Because believe me, when you are working with production servers, there will be problems, and hence it is very important that you keep patience and try to debug what is the problem, look for all kinds of logs and stuff. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope this series and all is helpful for you. I will try to add more functionalities to this. I'm open to suggestions. If you guys have any great ideas, then do share on the comment section and I will try to implement it. But yeah, that is the basic stuff which I have created in here for a basic bookmark manager application from start till end, which is from zero to going to production. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe to my channel.